Have you ever had that feeling? That fleeting moment when you're convinced something is watching you, only to turn around and find nothing there? Last month, I had a chilling experience, one that still haunts me. It all happened at the old convenience store on the edge of our little town. That night, I worked late, so late, in fact, that it was almost 1 a.m. when I finally left the office. The town was dead silent, with only a few streetlights still glowing faintly. Driving home, I remembered my fridge was practically empty, so I decided to stop by the 24-hour convenience store to grab a few essentials. The store is tucked away at the edge of town. It's usually quiet, but late at night, it's almost eerily deserted. I parked outside and glanced through the window. The dim lighting inside cast long, shadowy outlines on the shelves, and the whole place felt off. But I brushed it off. It was late, and anyone could feel jumpy at that hour. When I pushed open the door, the little bell overhead let out a sharp, metallic jingle, so shrill it sent a shiver down my spine. The store seemed completely empty. Even the counter at the back was unmanned. "Hello?" I called out, my voice echoing in the stillness. No response. I figured the clerk was probably in the back room. I wandered through the aisles, grabbing a few snacks and drinks, but the atmosphere kept growing heavier. The store was unnaturally silent, not even the usual hum of refrigerators or fluorescent lights. The overhead lights flickered faintly, their harsh glow adding to the oppressive stillness. I approached the counter to pay, but just as I got there, I heard it, a faint, deliberate sound of footsteps, slow and measured, coming from the back of the store. My heart jumped into my throat. "Hello? Is someone there?" I called again, but the footsteps stopped abruptly. I froze, my mind racing. Maybe the clerk heard me and was coming out? But seconds ticked by, and no one appeared. Summoning a bit of courage, I leaned to peek down the narrow hallway behind the counter. It was empty. As I turned back, a sudden, overwhelming sensation swept over me, like something was right behind me. I spun around quickly. Nothing. I let out a nervous laugh, convincing myself I was just being paranoid. But as I reached into my pocket to grab my wallet, something caught my eye in the corner of the counter's small, dusty mirror. Reflected in the mirror was the aisle behind me, and something moved. My head snapped up, my eyes darting to the spot I had just seen in the reflection. The aisle was empty. My skin prickled, and a cold sweat trickled down my back. I stared at the mirror for what felt like ages, but it showed nothing more. Maybe I had imagined it. I decided I'd had enough. I left the money on the counter and bolted for the exit. When I pushed the door open, though, the bell didn't ring. Puzzled, I turned back to check. The bell was right there, hanging as usual, but it was silent, like it had been turned off. The cold night air hit me as I stepped outside, but the unease only grew. As I unlocked my car and glanced back at the store, I froze. In the store's window, I saw it, a face. It was faint, almost featureless, pressed against the glass, staring straight at me. Adrenaline surged through me. I jumped into my car, started it, and sped away. Even when I got home, my mind was racing. I couldn't sleep, replaying the events of the night over and over in my head. The real shock came 3 days later. I saw the news. The convenience store had burned down in a fire caused by faulty wiring. The entire building was gutted. But the most unsettling detail? During the fire investigation, authorities found strange anomalies in the security footage. Moments before the fire, shadowy figures appeared on the tapes, moving through the aisles, yet no customers were recorded entering or leaving. Even stranger, the clerk on duty that night had vanished without a trace and was never found. To this day, I can't stop wondering about that night. What was in the mirror? Who, or what, was staring at me from the window? And why didn't anyone else seem to notice? Maybe it was all a string of coincidences, but maybe it wasn't. So the next time you find yourself alone in an empty, silent space, remember to look around carefully. Because you never know who, or what, might be watching you.